What's up, gamers, and welcome back for more WotC-20. Today's matchup is Energy Connect Ho-Oh versus Dynamo. This is Dynamo with Magneton, as you can tell by the card sleeve. So Dynamo will be on the right side, Ho-Oh will be on the left, and this is Neo Revelations Ho-Oh, the Rainbow Burn colorless Ho-Oh. So lots of different energy types will be seen during this match. Energy Connect referring to the Ampharos from Expedition as well. So we'll see how all that rolls. Opening looks like Cleffa versus Doduo, with I believe turn 1 going to Dynamo, and Slowpoke on the bench as well as a Voltorb. So Comp Surge right off the bat, discarding a Lightning Energy. And they're choosing probably between the Magneton, yeah, I was going to say in the Doduo, but the Doduo line in this deck I believe is 2-2, so probably don't want to throw that away. Throwing away some Lightning Energy is okay with Super Dynamo on Electrode in this deck, getting that energy back onto your board, but the Doduo's not as throw-outable, and also with Copycat in hand going turn 1, you might want to use that Copycat, but it looks like the support for a turn instead is going to be Pokemon Fan Club off of that computer search. So they will look for 2 basics or babies to put onto their bench directly from their deck, get set up real quick here. And that's exactly what Dynamo wants to do. It wants to go fast, get that Dynamo engine rolling, overload the board with Lightning Energy, and then discard it with big attacks. So it looks like a Cleffa and a Voltorb. No Magnemite yet to be seen. And then the Slowpoke on the other side does not like the looks of this with its Lightning weakness. So there will be some type matchups to keep an eye on here. I know that Tyrogue is splashed for coverage in this Ho-Oh deck, so Doduo and Dodrio resist that. There's Lightning weakness on the Slowpoke and Slowbro line, and there's Fighting weakness on the Electrode and Magneton lines. Cleffa comes active with a Recycle Energy, hits the heads on the Baby Roll, and ekes successfully, so turns pass over here. Looks like a Lightning, or a Psychic Energy was drawn off the top for Ho-Oh's side. And there is 2 Ho-Ohs and a Mareep, lots of basics in hand. Psychic and Focus Band attached to the active Cleffa and rolling for an Eek, so lots of cards played, but hits tails on the Eek. Worth noting that the Mareep on the bench there does have 50 HP, as well as the ability to attack for 30 damage, so it hits a nice sweet spot for opposing opponent's baby Pokemon. Full grip for Dynamo's side. And found an Electrode already. And down comes Electrode, so that is the first evolution of the match. And we'll see Juggler as the support for turn, discarding 2 energy to draw 5. Big draw card. And the Electrode's ability, if you're not familiar with it, while it is active, you can flip a coin, and if heads, choose a Lightning Energy from your discard pile and attach it to one of your Pokemon, active or benched, and any type. So can attach to Cleffa, can attach to even Dodrio here, which now that it's online with Retreat Aid, all Pokemon on that side of the board have a reduced retreat cost of 1, which is a big deal because this deck intentionally only runs Pokemon with a retreat cost of 1 or less, so now they are free retreating. You can see how this allows Electrode to come active, or multiple Electrodes in one turn for multiple attaches. And a Magnemite also hits the bench, so pretty good early turns for both sides here. That Magnemite is Aquapolis, and it is a free retreater right now. It does not even need Conductive Body to really be active for that. And we will see our first Super Dynamo of the match. Now they're keeping it on the bench, but it is just a sequence being shortcutted. It was brought active with Cleffa, then flipped for Dynamo, then brought back to the bench. So you will see that sequencing quite a lot. It will not always drag the Electrode into the active, and now we're seeing a Trader. Possibly for another Electrode. And it is. So you can expect to see another Dynamo now. And the Super Dynamo roll is good, so that is 1 lightning out of the bin. At least 3 are there from a computer search earlier and a juggler for 2. And decides to attach to Electrode itself. That Electrode does have a good attack in Swift for 1 lightning and 1 colorless. It will deal 30 and ignore effects on the defending Pokemon. It still needs to flip for a baby roll though, and it can't go through Focus Band. Focus Band will only proc after the damage from Swift is resolved. Turns pass back to Ho-Oh. Not a lot of energy on board for Ho-Oh, but Dynamo is now up and running. Just needs to find Magneton, and then that bench is no longer safe. DCE for turn. ER hitting an Electrode's lightning attach. Not super effective in this matchup, but you might as well play them out when you find them. And then hits Tails on the Eek, so no hand now for Ho-Oh. 1 Ho-Oh has a DCE attached though, so Rainbow Burn is halfway powered up. If you're not familiar with Rainbow Burn, it deals 30, and then for each unique basic energy attached to Ho-Oh, it will deal an additional 10. So all 7 basic energy types, you can do quite a bit. Big hand here for Dynamo. And rolling for each Dynamo. Looks like the first one was a Tails, second one a Tails as well, so no attaches for free this turn. Here comes Juggler. Also, pardon earlier, it is not 7 basic energy types. There are 6 options to choose from. Dark and Metal are still special in this format, and there is no Fairy. Going for Eek, and it is good. So notably, Ho-Oh can get up to a maximum of 90 damage with Rainbow Burn. It defaults to 30. Lightning attached for turn 2, Mareep. Trying to Eek again, and finally gets it. Gets a full hand. Would have been devastating to have that Cleffa knocked out with no hand. Really would have slowed things down. It avoids the awkwardness, and still no prize is taken from either side. Both sides just eking and setting up, taking their time. Still has yet to find the Magneton, and also not sticking a ton of energy with the recent Dynamo rolls and some ER, but 2 Gusts in hand. I'll bet you, if possible, they'll try to stick to the offensive now, with the Gusts to work with. Gust would be a good KO on the Slowpoke. First Dynamo is a Tails though, second one looks like it's good. Is there a Magneton to take advantage of all of this? And there is the Magneton. So upon play, it can take any basic energy on your side of the board and draw it to itself. And there's the Gust on the Slowpoke. Super effective damage takes the KO, and then discarding with Electric Blast to target down the Cleffa. Tails on the Focus Band. It's a double KO, so 2 prize turn there. Attract energy, very powerful, so Magneton moved as much basic energy as it could to itself to power that Electric Blast. Can't move Recycle energy though because it's a special energy. And normal is not a basic type for Ho-Oh to leverage for Rainbow Burn either, so that's where I had 7 from earlier. Another Electrode found, so now Dynamo gets 3 rolls every turn with Dodrio up to attach more lightning energy and keep these Electric Blasts rolling from Magneton, so this can get out of hand pretty quick. Rainbow Burn from Ho-Oh only dealing 30 is not great. Of course, 1 basic energy attached to Ho-Oh next turn does allow it to deal 40. That's still not enough to knock out Magneton, but with energy, could there be a way towards Energy Connect? I don't think there's a breeder in this deck to get Ampharos out. So it looks like it's just a lot of Dynamo rolls. There is enough energy for another Electric Blast. And Mareep getting gusted. And Mareep does have enough HP to survive this. So they'll take 40, survive with 10 HP remaining, and will not discard energy with Electric Blast. That does allow the benched Ho-Oh to power up and try to get a Revenge Knockout next turn, so that's something. Fighting energy attached for turn to Mareep. Looks like it's just going straight for the attack. So Mareep can deal 30, and then it has to flip a coin. That was a tails, or heads, I believe, so it did not deal 10 damage to itself, but that would have knocked itself out. So at least now Magneton at 60 has to consider if it wants to stay in or not. Ho-Oh could definitely follow up if knockouts are traded. Uses Warp Point. Okay, so both players switch. Warp Point was initially printed in Gym Challenge. It also got a printing in Expedition. And the opponent switches first, so you can kind of respond to that. And it will be Electric Blast, using that spread damage by discarding 2 lightning energy to hit the Mareep. Might as well put 10 on that remaining Ho-Oh. I believe they discarded 2. Yep. Prizing, I believe, 6-3, but Ho-Oh will be able to take a prize here. Then we'll see if Dynamo follows up by swifting in return, or if there's another Magneton to set up somewhere. Bench space can get tight with Dynamo and Dodrio engines in general. Cleffa in the hand, might as well bench it. Finds another DCE for the benched Ho-Oh, and plenty of basic colorful energy in hand as well to power up Rainbow Burn as needed. And takes the knockout, keeps the Cleffa in the hand. Prize is a computer search. Recycle goes to hand for Dynamo. We'll see who gets promoted. It will be Cleffa, the free retreater. Of course, everything is a free retreat right now, and immediately drops a Magnemite onto the bench. Wants to get another one set up. Recycle energy to that Magnemite. Now, Ho-Oh is fairly bulky as a basic. It has 90 HP. So that would require 2 Swifts to take down. Regardless of what main attacker this Dynamo deck goes for, it will be 2 attacks to take out the active Ho-Oh. It looks like we're hitting some heads here on these Dynamo rolls, so one Electrode immediately powered up with Swift. Ho-Oh will not be able to knock it out either. And Cleffa's going to be coming out, so it's going to be some trading, keeping up the pressure. Swift for 30, so Ho-Oh at 70 has 20 HP remaining. See if another focus band comes down in this matchup. And it is a computer search. It might in fact be for a focus band. Discarding a fighting and a lightning energy. Remember, this deck also runs Fisherman. Grass return to the Ho-Oh. And there is a focus band. I do think that's what was grabbed with Comp Search. Swings at Electrode for 30. Lots of considerations for Dynamo here. I'm going to go for the Super Dynamo roll first with the active Electrode. And it's ahead, so one will come out of the bin, go to one of the benched Electrodes, and now I assume we'll see them all once again shortcutting the sequence of actually actively free retreating them out, putting them active. You can free retreat as many times as you want each turn, as long as you have the energy to spend in this format. And just like that, a benched Electrode is also powered up. Doesn't even have to risk the one in the active getting knocked out the following turn. Trader going to grab a Magneton, adding one card back into the deck. Now I assume you'll see that Magneton drop down. There it is. And Attract Energy can now pull all those basics to itself off of the damaged and non-damaged electrodes for a very large Electric Blast. Now, when you use Electric Blast and you want to do spread damage to the bench, you do have to discard all Lightning Energy. You can't just discard some. So, that being said, looks like Electric Blast would be spreading 40? 50. That's a lot of lightning, so that can get a KO on the Slowpoke. And oaking away Juggler and Igglybuff might be looking for the Gust. Drops a Nightly Garbage Run on the table. Finds a Gust. And another Dodrio. Seems as good a turn as any to use the Gust. You can spread out the bench damage, so you only have to put you have to put 20 into the bench Toho with Focus Band, not 1. And then you can spread the rest to the other one, yep. So it's definitely a knockout on the active Slowpoke, Tails on the Focus Band, so a knockout on the bench Toho. And then it looks like it was 30 more damage to the other Ho-Oh. So another double prize turn, 1 prize remaining for Dynamo, 1 very injured Ho-Oh in the active. Lots of energy off the board though from that big attack, 2 prizes, but a Recycle energy remains on the Cleffa, so definitely needs to hit some Dynamo heads to get powered back up to keep attacking. Ho-Oh itself is 1 attach away from Rainbow Burning for assumedly 50? Yep, that would be 50. 30 base plus 10 from the water, 10 from the grass. So Magneton takes 50, has 30 HP remaining. Alright, Super Dynamo rolls. Here we go. First one is heads. And with such a big hand, there's probably an attach for turn as well. Second one is heads as well. Electric Blast already powered back up. Rolls for the third one. Heads as well. Triple heads on the Dynamos. Decides to attach this one to the bench. And energy for turn also to the bench to set up a swift opportunity. Doesn't really need to overload, there's 1 prize remaining. You can Electric Blast without discarding to deal 40 to the active Ho-Oh and put it down to 10 remaining HP. So even if there is a knocked out Magneton this turn, Electrode on the bench will come in to finish up the game. Now there is an ER in hand that could slow things down with some unlucky Dynamo rolls, but more likely than not, statistically speaking, we're looking at the end of the game here. Interesting. They will, in fact, ER. Nothing to lose. 2 energy in hand and a Cleffa for the bench. Going to retreat the Ho-Oh out, not going to take the trade, because it would end the game. Gonna Baby Stall instead. And Eek. I assume they gotta find, what, double ER for the follow-up turn to then be able to safely KO. Plenty of energy in hand for Electrode as well, to be powered back up. Super Dynamo is a Tails on the first one, Heads on the second. Just like that, Swift is ready to go again. And the third one is a Tails. Only needed one though, and there's attach for turn. If there's a Gust, that will also end the game to push Cleffa out of the way. You don't have to roll through Baby Rule, you get the de facto knockout on the Ho-Oh. Does not seem to have the Gust, you could copycat into it. Can't tell if the trainer card being gripped is a computer search. No, it's an Oak. Would rather Oak than use Copycat, because you could Oak into a Juggler and then use Juggler as supported for turn. Dig for that Gust. And there's the Gust, so that's gonna do it. Gust found off the Oak. That will allow Electric Blast to clean up this remaining Ho-Oh for the last prize. And that will be the game. So thank you for watching. For more WotC-20, comment, like, subscribe, and we will catch you next time.